Welcome to Inside and Outside LegCo. I'm Emily Lau. Today I'm very pleased to have Dr. Allan Zeman joining us. And as you know, he is the father of Kwai Fong. But now Kwai Fong, of course, is a ghost town, and the whole of Hong Kong is a ghost town. And I thank Allan because this is the second time he's come onto our show. The last time was in April last year.
Oh,
thank
wow.
you, Allan.
Yeah,
both times. Both times in Allan's property, premises. And today, of course, we have Allan here to talk more about his views on what's happening here and what should be done. And of course, you all must have seen Allan's number of interviews on TV and elsewhere, and also his letters. First one to Carrie Lam, the chief executive, and then a few days later, he sent one to the Hong Kong people. So Allan, what's happening? Are we still going through with this nightmare that you describe in all your letters?
Hopefully, we will wake up soon from the nightmare. Emily, honestly, I'm beginning at least to feel a little more comfortable now. We've been through, the biggest problem we had when it first started, I think the government in general and everyone was complacent because for 2 years, we were the poster child of viruses in the world. Zero infections generally for the Delta and the Alpha viruses. And so, you kind of become overconfident. The problem is this virus comes along, which is totally different than Omicron. That's totally different than Delta or Alpha, because those viruses really attack the lung. So they don't transmit so easily. Omicron is up here, it's respiratory. So it's just, people can just be talking and suddenly you're infected. And so no one really realized, but Omicron started in South Africa, went around the world, and everybody was trying desperately, even the United States, who's usually so strong in these kind of things.
Well, they had the most number of people infected and died.
And they couldn't, and they could not control it.
Yeah.
So that was a good lesson. UK was no different. In the end, they just threw their hands up and said, okay, and so Hong Kong, we thought that we could control it. But, and we did for a while until obviously, like two airline people
the Cathay
came in and kind of broke the rules and went out. And if it wasn't them, it would have been others, because Omicron it's impossible to keep out unless you isolate yourself from the world. And so basically, it started off, and instead of being in one district, it spread throughout Hong Kong. And then when it spreads, it's very, very, very difficult. And that's why.
But why did you write a letter to Carrie Lam at the beginning of March?
I wrote the letter to Carrie Lam because basically it was not supposed to go viral. I mean, unfortunately, I wrote the letter because I really.
You thought she was not doing the right thing.
Well, I saw people in Hong Kong were very, very, very confused. And because they were getting mixed messages from the government. One day, Sophie Chan would say something, 21-day quarantine 4 days before. Carrie Lam said no quarantine. So people, of course, are frightened because health is the most important thing in life to people. And of course, then people were dying and many, many, many things. And
many were leaving. That's the point you made in both letters.
But leaving was after. I'm just saying at the beginning, they were leaving because people, and to be quite fair, quite honest, what happened was that the majority, or a lot of the people that were leaving were families, were mothers with children, because the hospitals were overcrowded, meaning the public hospitals, because the private hospitals at that time most of them were not taking in any COVID patients. And so the hospital authority was over its head. There was no beds, there was nothing. And a foreign mother with her 9-month-old daughter, the 9-month-old daughter tested positive, and she was taken to the hospital when the public hospitals, and was told she could not stay with the child because they didn't have beds. I talked to the hospital authority after to find out, and they said, listen, we have no beds. We even saw they had to put people outside of the hospitals. This was not Hong Kong. This was like a fourth world country. I was really disturbed by that. And so and the mother, of course, went crazy because she can't, for a mother not to stay with a child, is a 9-month-old child, is terrible. And so people, a lot of the expats, the mothers with children, were crazy because they heard that there's going to be testing done, and if they get tested, the child will probably have to go take it away to the hospital, and they won't be able to spend time, because what the hospital authority explained to me is they didn't want to do this, but the problem,
they have no room.
They had no room.
Yeah.
You either give a bed to someone who's very sick and is going to die, or you give it to a mother. But listen, maybe there would have been another way, but in hindsight, it sent a very bad message, and that was a headline that went around the world. Hong Kong is disregarding children and parents. They're separating parents and children, and they're disrespectful, and it's just really bad publicity for Hong Kong at the time. So, of course, unfortunately, people believe whatever they read in the media or hear. And so, don't tell anyone. In essence, that's what happened, and so
but Allan,
really scared.
In your letters, you said that what's happening here has damaged Hong Kong's international reputation, has destroyed one country, two systems.
Well, I didn't say destroyed yet.
But no, not much more. So this very strong language coming from you, because the last time we spoke, you were overflowing with praise.
Well, we were doing a good job. We were doing a good job. Listen, my style, I wasn't trying to blame anyone. But
you think somebody should be blamed, Allan?
No.
Do we blame the table or what?
I think blaming doesn't help anything.
But
fix the problem.
So who is going to fix it?
Because this is for all Hong Kong. It's not about one person or two people. This is not about blaming someone. My style has always been to find a solution. And all I was trying to do was to find a solution for the people of Hong Kong to make sure, because most of the people were so outraged. They didn't know what was happening, and they were getting such mixed messages from the government. That's the only one that could give messages to them. And normally I said, whoever is the spokesman, there should be one spokesperson, and giving a message of confidence, not kind of punishment. If you got sick, you were kind of being punished. That's what it felt like.
Do you think the government has achieved that, giving people confidence?
Well, I think now, if you look at today's press conference by
Carrie Lam.
This morning by Carrie Lam, and now it will be done every day at 11 o'clock,
and she's wearing her mask, finally.
Well, it's okay, we're not, because
we're not Carrie Lam.
But generally I wear my mask every day, just for you, for this I've taken it off. But
you think she is what you call a charismatic spokesperson for Hong Kong?
I think that she obviously, no one wanted to do what happened. Listen, to have that so many people die, especially old people die.
Now more than 2,500 now.
2,500 now, and it's terrible because they didn't get vaccinated. And what the government should have done is to do mandatory vaccination. But many people at the time, I remember, government tried to do it, but then they were getting voices from parents, from people who, I don't want my parents to be vaccinated. They're 80 years old, 85 years old in a care home and all that. And so that was the big problem, because if people were vaccinated, now we're getting busy vaccinating in the next 2 weeks. Hopefully the people in care homes will be vaccinated. But the problem is they were not vaccinated. And that's where we can see most of the deaths, majority of the deaths are from unvaccinated people, and that's a very big problem. We can see all over the world, wherever you had vaccinations, the death rate was lower.
So I hope the Hong Kong people have learned. Well, I've had 3 jabs. Yeah. What about you? Have you got 3?
I had 3 right away. As soon as it came out, I was the first one in line, because I really believe. Listen, I take the flu vaccine every year for like 20 years already. So I mean, I'm used to vaccines, and they're not they don't hurt. And so that was I think the first mistake, and I'm not blaming the government, whatever, but the Hong Kong people themselves were against it. And it took so long, if you remember, for people to get the first jab. We're at 50%, 55%, and Patrick Nip was trying his best. But that was just, and I could understand Hong Kong people because we had spent 4 phases of viruses that we had 0 cases. We did a very, very good job, and so they.
And also because some people did not trust the administration. But Allan, a friend of mine from the business community wants to ask you a question.
Sure.
He said, we have always been competing with Singapore, and in this case, many people feel that Singapore has done much better, and they are now opening up.
Yes.
And he wants me to ask you whether you think Hong Kong should adopt the Singaporean strategy, although of course that may mean not zero COVID, maybe not to open the boundary with the mainland, but that may mean that we can open up to the rest of the world because we are an international financial center, business city.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that what we should do, I mean, I've looked at Singapore, and yeah, they've done a very decent job. I don't want to criticize Singapore. I mean, although they do have a lot of people dying still and whatever,
many
a lot
cases,
a lot of infections, but they've taken the moniker, they're going to live with it because no choice, and at this point, they went ahead and they seem to be okay with it. In Hong Kong, obviously, China had a dynamic 0, right? But dynamic 0 doesn't mean 0, and they've been very, but
they said it in Beijing yesterday too,
and all along, and they now call it dynamic clearing, But that's okay because 0 maybe gives the wrong message.
Yeah.
But Beijing does, and for Beijing's sake, when you have 1.4 billion people, as soon as there's an outbreak somewhere, they close
go
the
in.
area exactly. So what?
But we're not like that.
The problem is it already spread through Hong Kong. We could have done it if we would have done it early, but we didn't. It spread because no one realized the extent of this virus, and which maybe they should have, because all over the world they were going through the same thing. And so it's not a question of living with it or dynamic 0 or dynamic clearing, whatever. It's a question is we've got to solve the problem. And basically, what I see now is originally they were going to do testing. They came out with they were going to do
the massive
testing.
Yeah.
But our medical experts were saying no, now's not the time because it's already throughout. We don't have a place, even if you are able to see everybody who's infected
and find those people. Where can you put them?
And so obviously I think they made the right decision now to delay it if they're going to do it at all.
Yeah.
And I think because what. Honestly, and with the help from the mainland, in essence, Professor Liang Wanyan, really from Beijing, is amazing. I mean, he came here, and I've talked to a lot of the government people and whatever. He's been very, very, very helpful. He's very, very clever. He was instrumental in the Wuhan virus and whatever. So he's talking from experience. We maybe didn't have very many experienced people here, and so he's the one. He's given some very, very good suggestions, and I've talked to people in the hospital authority. I've talked to different people, and what he says now is let's concentrate on saving a lot of these older people that are dying and whatever, and so that I think, and also having private hospitals to now join in, because that's something. And before, each department within government wasn't really working together as a team. This is a time that you need everyone to work together.
Well, you talk about this mass testing, which may be postponed or whatever, and at the press conference this morning, Carrie Lam was asked, you say the schools should have earlier summer holiday, so that there can be room for you to do the mass testing.
Correct.
And now you're going to postpone it to April or whatever. But actually, your plan was that to do the testing, and then in late April, the schools could come back. And now if you're going to postpone that to April, what's going to happen to the schools? I think the headmasters, the teachers, the parents are also perplexed because it's not as if saying, oh, we're not going to do it anymore. Oh, we may do it, but not yet. It's not top priority. Top priority is to save the elderly and the kids, which is right. But you may bring it back in April. And then the schools are going to not reopen again, April, May. What's going to happen to our kids?
But Emily, I know you like to be cynical sometimes. What I say is in a case like this, when there's such an outbreak everywhere, you kind of are day to day, things change. Honestly, because it's not, there's no rule book for it, and so day to day, so you leave your options open. I do believe they've made the right decision by holding off the mass
postponing
testing.
it, yeah.
If at all, if they need it, they'll do it. If they don't need it, they won't. And so with the schooling, of course, people were perplexed because their kids, listen, I've got grandkids that
they're studying,
studying and have to,
What do they have to
do?
do?
And everything's online, So, but it's not just here. Everywhere in the world, the schooling is the biggest problem. Look at what's going on in the U.S.
They are reopening now, although they have to wear masks in
they're
schools.
reopening because, understand, we were the laggard in the world with Omicron. Every other country already got Omicron, but we didn't. We were the last one. And what we're going through now, I've talked to Gabriel Leung and I've talked to other people involved in it. And Hong Kong U, according to their formula, they say that we're now hit peak, that we've now peaked.
Yeah.
And that was on the 4th of March. And we need another 5, 6, 7 days of numbers not increasing but just leveling off. Then you can say be confident that it's peaked. What happens around the world, because you can only look at what's happened in other countries, as soon as it peaks, the downtrend is very, very quickly. It moves very, very quickly. It happened everywhere. That's why U.S. has been able to open, U.K. has been able to open, and then once it peaks, because they weren't living with it when they were fighting it. No one was talking about living with it at that time. They were all fighting it and doing whatever you want to call it, dynamic clearing. Once it peaked and the infections started to go down, then they turn to the economy, because also people need jobs. You can't keep closed forever. And so that's where they came up with the term living with it. So I don't get hung up with living with it or dynamic clearing. At the right time, we'll be living with it, and China will be living with it too when they open up. So
you mentioned Professor Gabriel Leung, and also there are some other professors who have been giving advice to the administration, which are quite similar to what you said. But some of the people in LegCo, after this improved electoral process, they have been pressing the administration to do the mass testing for many weeks.
I know.
So, and then somebody immediately sent me the letter that you wrote to the Wall Street Journal in January saying, now after this is going to be big improvement. They're very good, all these people. Do you think they're helping us in LegCo? And the DAB had to apologize last night after criticizing Carrie Lam yesterday.
Listen.
What are they doing? They are supposed to be the people's representatives, Alan.
Emily, you were in LegCo for many years.
Yes, I know.
I know. So listen, I know all the people in LegCo too. Sometimes politics and enter something, and I'm not agreeing or disagreeing that what they did was right or wrong, whatever. Everyone has their own opinion. In this instance, what they did criticize and whatever, they're supposed to be representing the people of Hong Kong.
Not representing me or many of our people.
But I understand. That's what causes. But that's why Hong Kong is Hong Kong. Everyone can believe what they want. But for me, again, I just want to touch on not even LegCo, but I want to touch on the expats leaving and the reputation that I was worried that Hong Kong is losing. And when you bring up Singapore, many people saying, oh, people are moving to Singapore and Hong Kong is changing, this is not Hong Kong, whatever. I've been through this in 1997 when many people left, many people didn't trust that Hong Kong was going back to China, whatever. Many people went to Toronto, Vancouver, everywhere in the world, Australia. And 2 years later, and I know from Lan Kwai Fong, because like a lot of customers started to come back after being abroad, and it wasn't really what they thought, and Hong Kong was still a better place. I believe that yes, a lot of people are leaving because they were, you know, in February there's 71,000 people that left, which is a lot of people, of course. But I do believe that once we open again, because China does not need another Chinese city. They need Hong Kong with one country, two systems. Hong Kong is the gateway to the West and also the gateway to the East. We're the superconductor between both. And China needs Hong Kong because they have 1.4 billion people. They don't need 7.5 million people, but they need our system.
I would love to agree with you, Allan, but I think you must have seen.
Yeah.
You have seen a poll recently conducted by some international organization about livable cities.
Yeah.
And Hong Kong has dropped, I think, 17 points. 19 points to become the 77th livable city. The same on par with Taiwan, Taipei, and Shanghai is 100 and something. And they ask, why do the people leave? Why don't you think it's so livable? One is COVID. The other is freedom of the press. Yeah. Freedom of expression, which I don't know when that is going to come back. We have a few media people here, but many of them have left, Allan. My friends have left.
I know that, but Emily, everybody, listen, with media, whatever, that's a worldwide thing, you know. As far as I'm concerned. Right,
well, what do you mean worldwide thing? Having no freedom?
Meaning depending whatever people want to write. In general, let me just say one thing. Let me finish. I believe that, you know, a lot of these ranking, these groups that do ranking, whatever, it depends who you're from, where you're from, or whatever. And I don't always go by them because it's really very difficult. It's subjective. It's someone's opinion, and they have a thing, and it's a business basically. And so
doing polling.
Yeah, doing polling. And so as far as I'm concerned, I kind of look at it with one eye. I don't demean it because it's good. It's a good thing. It's kind of a wake-up call.
You don't think people care about press freedom and freedom of expression,
of course,
whether it's expat or locals?
I've never had a problem speaking out, doing what I want, you know, as long as I listen. As long as I know what the law is, and so I live within the law. If I don't like it, I get up and I leave and I go somewhere else.
You can. Many people cannot.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying, man needs laws in order to exist, you know, and so once you know what the law is, whether it's security law, you know, whatever the law is, at least you live with it. And that's basically what it is. Listen, in China, people say, oh, it's so bad. I have Americans that, you know, I have companies in the US and they think, oh, China's terrible and this and that. But in the meantime, I have staff in China and they have a better life than some of the people we have here, you know. I mean, China's gone this way, and I know, you know, many of you don't go to China to see, but if you could see what's going on there, it's incredible. It's the fastest growing economy in the world, and so that's why, you know, and that'll be the strength of Hong Kong. Listen, everybody is here. All these head offices and business banks, all that, are here because of China. They're not here because of Hong Kong, because they want to do business in China. We have independent judiciary, we have rule of law, whatever. We have the rules, whatever the rules are. China has its own rules, but people are very happy. And so I know it's
who are very happy?
The people in China.
Oh, in China.
In China are very happy with their life. I mean, Harvard University did and Yale from Toronto did a poll about 8 months ago, and it showed that 92% of the people in China said they love, you know, they love their life and they love it, because I've been there for 40 years, and I've seen the life change for a lot of staff. I have businesses.
I don't remember a poll about Hong Kong. I don't know what percentage. No, I know you talk about China because we are talking about Hong Kong. I don't know what percentage of Hong Kong people are very happy with their lives here. Do you remember a poll done on this? I don't.
No, not. No.
I think it would be quite a small percentage.
Hong Kong has problems because of our housing situation.
Yeah.
I believe you give everybody. Singapore, listen, we talk about Singapore. The laws in Singapore are pretty strict.
Oh,
stricter
well, we
than
know.
Hong Kong. I mean, I know I've been there. It's stricter than Hong Kong, but yet the people are happy. Why? Because Lee Kuan Yew was very smart, the late Lee Kuan Yew. He made sure 90% of the people own their own home in Singapore. A bigger home and all that. We have 280,000 people living in subdivided flats. We have nano flats. We have so no wonder people are not happy. You give them a proper house. A house is one of the most important things, and of course health. That's the other thing that we're
and
now
freedoms.
facing.
To Hong Kong people, freedom is very important. Singaporeans may not have tasted it.
But Emily, if freedom. It depends what you call freedom, But as far as I'm concerned,
Freedom to speak your mind, freedom of conscience, freedom of the press, freedom of expression.
If it's disruptive to society.
Well, within the law, I agree with you. If there's a law, you have to.
Law. And that's why I say, once I know what the law is, I'll try to conduct myself as best I can within the law. That's all I'm saying.
But there are people, including my members, party members, in jail now. Not yet.
Oh, I understand.
Not yet got a trial. They don't know where the red lines are. Even the report, the lawyers say it's very fussy. The line keeps moving.
It's unfortunate.
They are very, very worried.
And I listen. I haven't been tried yet, so I can't say anything about
I don't think you want to try it, Alan.
No, I'm just saying 2019 was a difficult period for Hong Kong in general.
Yeah.
And one thing I never want to see. And listen, a lot of them are my friends. I know them. Whatever.
Sure.
But
very sad.
It's just something. But one thing I know, we have an independent judiciary, and hopefully they will get favor. They'll get judged favorably, and things will be okay. But listen, we're through 2019 now, and we've got to look at the future for Hong Kong, and really for everybody's life, everybody in this room. I want everybody to have a better life, a happy life. We're talking about the Greater Bay Area coming, which will be a game changer for Hong Kong, as well. I mean, 1.5 hour radius from Hong Kong, 11 cities, 84 million people. Last year, 1.67 trillion US dollars. People with money. So Hong Kong will change. I mean, we have to change so people can have a better life.
When do you think Hong Kong people will have better housing? As you said, I think it's a basic problem. It's been so many decades.
I agree with you.
It's just terrible.
And that was a problem from the British.
The British. The British were wrong, but now I think there were less people living in nano flats under colonial rule than now.
The price wasn't as crazy as it is now.
Whose fault is it?
And so, because these were the systems, and they're learning now. And I think that I'm hoping that whoever the next chief executive is, whether it's Carrie Lam or whoever else it is, right, will really make that a priority first. Hopefully we'll be through this.
I hope so.
Yeah, because otherwise we won't be sitting here talking together. But I mean, in essence, that should be the number one thing to really tackle.
Housing.
And Beijing has even mandated to the people. Even Han Zheng a few days ago said that housing, we must give everybody a better house. Xi Jinping has said it, and I think now hopefully once Beijing gets on the case, hopefully we will now find a way to do it, and do it quickly. Listen, you see what we built, what China helped us to build, these cabins.
Well, Alan, although we may disagree on certain things and we agree on others, and we've been friends for decades, so I must say, Alan is very good, because on this occasion he spoke out, and I spoke to some of my friends, I still have some, in the business community. They agree with you. And I say, why don't you speak out? They say, oh, we are minions. We are so small. Well, I don't know. Allan Zeman may be a giant, but we are all decent, upstanding human beings. If we believe in something, we should speak out. But they say, no, Allan has backing. maybe he's got blessing to speak out. Is that right, Allan? I know you have friends in the liaison office in Beijing.
Yes, I do. But
why are these other business people so frightened, or do they agree with you?
It might be a culture. I have no
culture.
idea. I have no idea.
You're not racist. You're not racist.
No. Nothing to do. Culture means nothing to do with racism. But
yeah.
I mean, basically, I believe that my style is if I really believe in something, I really see, all I want to do is do a better job for the people of Hong Kong. And I love Hong Kong. I've been here all my life, basically. And so I just want to make sure that Hong Kong goes from strength to strength. I don't want to see us lose everything that we built up over all these years. And because it's better for everyone. No matter what side you were on before or whatever, the future, I care about the future. The past is gone. You can't change the past. And so from my side, all I want to do is make sure that if the train leaves the track, if it's off the track, I want to put the train back on the track so we can start moving again. It's for everybody's sake. Everybody in this room, that's all I care. And all the viewers out there, that Hong Kong maintains its strength. And sometimes if I see something that I think is not right, I could be right, I could be wrong.
You speak out.
I'll speak out. And this was basically supposed to be a private letter between me to Carrie Lam, but in essence, someone, a few friends saw it, and I didn't even know who. It went viral, and it went throughout Hong Kong. But at the end of the day, I think the government got the message, and in fairness to Carrie, she answered me the next morning a long message back that she will look into things, and I think she saw, in fairness, she did see that maybe some of the things I pointed out was worth looking at, and so I really respect that, at least, and we'll see, and hopefully now they're speaking with one voice.
Well, I hope so. And Allan, I think that the Hong Kong people, some of them anyway, are still very jittery.
Yeah.
They're very anxious.
Yeah.
And when they go to supermarket, to the pharmacy, to the bakery, and they cannot buy the things they want, and then the government will say, "Don't worry, there's a lot of stock," and the people say, "I go there, the shelves are empty. So do I believe my eyes or do I believe you?" So there's no confidence in the administration.
In fairness, China has really helped a lot. I mean,
but where
China,
are the things?
We would really be well, you can see the amount of goods coming in. But as soon as it comes in, I mean, people are just buying. Now at least they're stopping people. You can only buy 5 items now instead of cleaning out the shelves. And it wasn't just Hong Kong. In all the viruses, you look at all the other countries, Australia, US, everyone, people are cleaning out shelves. It's a natural thing that people worry about, oh my God, what's going to happen to me? It's normal. And what we've gone through, at least the government and China did come through. Without China, we would have a really, really big problem right now. And I really thank them because they did send experts. They've given us, the facilities now that they're building and built in 1 week. It might not be to everybody's liking, but the hospital authority told me it's a blessing for them because now they can move people to, all we care at this point, we're in an emergency. And I've said this in my letter. It's now we're like on an airplane with a lot of turbulence, and you're holding on for dear life. But eventually, the airplane gets out of turbulence, and suddenly it lands safely, and everybody claps, and everybody gets up. So exactly, and so I'm hoping that we're still in the turbulence, but we're near the end of the cloud.
I hope so.
I'm hoping that that as we say, what happened around the world, that hopefully this peak has peaked. And the decrease will really come, and we can now minimize, hopefully, the deaths, especially for the old people. The big problem, the care homes, were a problem because there was no place to put them when they got sick. And that's very, very sad.
Let's hope
now, at least, they've taken, with China's help, the government now has taken the lead by talking to the private hospitals, and literally really finding a way to take care of these older people, and hopefully we can minimize some of the deaths, and now they'll be vaccinated, although it's only one vaccine.
Well, Carrie Lam said a number of times what's happening now is completely beyond her ability to cope.
But
how sad.
But
anyway.
most people would
Cannot-
be really,
would.
really, really difficult.
Yeah.
I really don't want to blame Carrie or
anybody.
like that, but anybody. It's just we're all in it together, and it's for everybody's sake.
And you
work
would,
together.
you would encourage
and
people
get-
to speak their mind if they
I
see
would-
problems
yes,
and solutions.
Of course, if they think it's the right thing, instead of criticizing in a negative way, to really, you want to criticize, but also give a pat on the head as well.
Yeah.
Me, I try to balance. If you read my letter, it's usually a balance.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Allan.
It's a pleasure to see you again.
Very balanced.
Stay safe.
Yeah.
And we'll wear our mask. Make sure.
Thank you, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, any questions? Ming Bo, 大聲啲.
Mr. Zeman, two short questions from Impal.
One at a time. This is not press, government press conference.
I guess because regarding reopening the border
Yeah.
to the international tourists,
Yeah.
what's the ideal timetable? When should we reopen, and do you support Kerlam's running for re-election? How do you comment for your performance?
Well, first, reopening the border
We
first.
ought to open the border. I think, personally, I think that reopening the border to international is very, very important because we are an international city. We built a reputation of being an international city. We're a financial center, banking center, you know. And so with the border closed before 21-day quarantine and now 14-day, you know, it's very difficult for international companies to run a business, to, you know, to be able to, you need to bring executives out, be able to work and then go back, and if they're in quarantine, you know, it just doesn't work. And we can see it's been a problem, and then we've lost a lot of expatriate people who have gone back home or emigrated or gone to Singapore or somewhere else. So I know it's difficult because as the government wanted, open the border with China first, and then look at the international side. The big problem is because Omicron is really, really a very serious disease that spreads very, very quickly. And if Omicron gets into China in a big way, it's already in China, but not so big yet. Hopefully not, because if it gets in with 1.4 billion people, it'll be a real problem for the world, not just for China, but for everyone, for the world. So it's important that they keep the border closed until we get the numbers down for Omicron. One of the suggestions that I might have is that if the border really remains closed and Omicron, and once we get the numbers down, then potentially we can do what Beijing did in the bubble, you know, whereby the athletes came out from wherever, from all over the world, right? But they were in a travel bubble, you know, and didn't really go into the city of Beijing. What we can do is keep Hong Kong as a bubble with the international world. The border's closed, right? But if people need to go into China, they have the 21-day quarantine or 28 days, whatever China is, you know. But at least Hong Kong can slowly get back to life with the border, because I don't know how long it's going to be. China's going to be closed, and I understand why they're closed the border, because of Omicron, you know, and so, you know, I'm trying to balance between both sides, and that's just a suggestion. I haven't even mentioned it yet, but I just think that's something I was thinking, because it worked in the Olympics very, very, very well, and so it might be something that could work for Hong Kong and really save a lot of jobs and save a lot of businesses here.
What about Carrie Lam, another term?
Well, I mean, it's up to her. I mean, I have no idea who's going to run. You know, we should know hopefully in a month. You know, April 3rd is when the nominations start, and we'll see. You know, May 8th is the election date. We'll see if she wants to run. Then it's up to the election committee to decide if they want her to run again. You know, if they want to vote for her. But you know, she's come through a very difficult period, and I just don't, I really, honestly, I don't know.
Any other questions? Yes, TVB,
No, Economic Journal.
Economic Journal, yeah.
Last week you sent a letter to Lam and saying that Hong Kong needs clear messages.
Yeah.
Has Lam replied to you yet? And what did she say? If she had
Yes, I said earlier, she did reply to me the next morning, you know, which was a very nice reply, and I really respect her, because she took all my points basically and really, you know, kind of answered that she will look into them and really, hopefully, do whatever she can, whatever she can to make it work. And so she did answer, and she took note of it, which listen, I've been with Carrie for 20 years basically. I'm on her economic advisory committee, so I know Carrie well, and she knows I don't mean any bad things for her or for Hong Kong, and everybody knows where my heart always is, and so that's basically we have a good relationship like that, where she knows whatever I say, I'm usually trying to help. And that's basically, and that's basically, and I respect. Listen, it's a very difficult job. Being the chief executive is not easy, especially in Hong Kong, because you've got China on one side, you've got the Hong Kong people on the other side, and you're kind of in the middle, and you're trying to balance on both sides. And China gives us the autonomy to do things, but it's, sometimes it's difficult because the systems are different in some cases. And so, and we're just going through a new, it's only 25 years since 1997. We're like a young new country with one country, two systems with China. So it's going to take time. Listen, one country, two systems was Deng Xiaoping's idea, but again, there's no template for it basically. And so we're living it now, and some mistakes are made, and some we correct them. It's for everyone. It's never been done before anywhere in the world.
Any other questions? Yes. Let this gentleman.
Alan, can you just tell us a little bit about蘭桂坊and what effect COVID has had on蘭桂坊? And how do you see it recovering?
You know how to hurt a guy. Basically, of course, Lan Kwai Fong, not just Lan Kwai Fong, but most retail in Hong Kong is very, very quiet. People are staying home. Many bars, clubs have been closed since January, basically. Gyms, same. So obviously, people and restaurants now with the new regulations, it's only 2 people who can go in, and restaurant hours are from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. So for lunch business, I think I had lunch there today. There's 3 tables. I mean, it's heartbreaking, but there's nothing you can do.
How do you see it recovering?
Well, I'm hoping that we can get the virus under control, and then the government will allow, slowly, like we did in the last 2 years with when the viruses, the Alpha and Delta, were hit. Hopefully, they'll be back. Probably start off with certain restrictions and then work your way up as long as the virus stays dormant. And so I'm hoping that maybe end of April. Right now, originally the government said April 20th. There'll be another review, and even the airlines. The 9 countries that can't fly to Hong Kong right now. It's up to April 20th, because I think in the model that Hong Kong EU had, they showed that by end of April, probably we would it would be the infection rate would be very, very minimal, and so I'm hoping that they're right, and then we can get back to work. The good thing is everywhere we can see everywhere in the world, wherever after the virus kind of finishes, business is everywhere. There's pent-up demand everywhere in the world. Business is great, because people just need to go out. It happened in Australia, happened in the U.S., happened in UK, Germany, everywhere. And so Hong Kong, I don't believe will be any difference. And also Paul Chan now has given the $10,000 voucher to people, 5,000 and 5,000. So that also people will have money to spend when things open up. And I think hopefully we could quickly forget the nightmare that we're experiencing at the moment.
Any other questions? Voice of America.
Hello, have you heard that there are many foreign workers leaving Hong Kong with family? recently because they worry about the mass testing. If they tested positive, they may send to the isolation camp.
Correct.
So, do you think the government should allow home quarantine for some of the positive cases?
Correct. I mean, first of all, mass testing is now kind of almost off the table, so we don't have to worry about that. But I understand a lot of parents and a lot of expats are leaving because they don't see, they can't, the border's closed, they can't go. If they go to visit, some haven't seen their kids in 2 years, 3 years, or their parents or grandparents, whatever. And so, and if they come back that they had before 21-day quarantine, now 14-day, it's not easy with a family and all that. So many have left temporarily, and many have left for good. I think that basically for me, I've been through this before. The government has said that because there's no room, if they did do mass testing, those people that live in a house that really you don't infect other people around you, you can have self-isolation. They've already said that very clearly because there's no choice. But people sometimes, not sometimes, normally, the normal thing is to panic, especially if you're not involved with the government or close to the government, that kind of thing. Your neighbor tells you something and you think, oh, it's real, and then it gets around. It's like a viral thing on the internet, Even in fairness to China, even China helped to build these, what they call the cabins, and the toilets. Some idiot, I say idiot, put on the internet the bathrooms. They put no walls, nowhere, and just open, and that went viral. And people, when I first saw it, I was also horrified. But then I found out, and Beijing was very upset because it's not true. The toilets actually have cubicles. They're nice toilets. They're not bad at all. But at the end of the day, and Beijing was actually right, because if I would have been the government, I would have tracked down whoever did that, whatever idiot did that, and I call them an idiot again. Because to me, it's terrible, especially at a time like this. That's not something that you do. People are dying, and it's not really something, this is not the time to prove a point.
Yeah. You have another question? Yeah.
Any of your friends from the commercial sector left home are temporary due to the COVID restrictions? How senior are they?
Well, some I know have left their children and their wives have left. Even I have some family members that have done that. But it's just temporary because some people, I could understand it. When you have kids, and you're living in a small flat, and you might be 5 people, 6 people, and the kids can't go out, they're not going to school, they're doing online learning, and so for the sake of the kids, after a week or 2 weeks or a month with the kids are going crazy, because they can't really go out with their friends and whatever. So I understand many people decided that just for the sake of the kids, we're going to go somewhere, Phuket, Bangkok, Singapore, whatever. But it's normal. But they're coming back. They're just waiting for the things to really, I don't want to say die down, not good words, but I'm just waiting for things to really minimize and then be back. Okay,
Allan, thank you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Okay,
thank you.
Stay safe, everyone.
Yeah, everybody.
And have faith. I promise you, things will get back to normal.
Yeah, good. Remember that.
Sooner rather than later. And normally I'm
Mask.
right.
Mask.
Normally I'm right. Can I have my mask, please?
Thank you, Allan.
Can I have my mask?